And we can start our first module of web application penetration testing part. So you can see on the screen that I have my own slides. So in this first sessions, we're gonna introduce what kind of vulnerabilities that you're gonna look for and what kind of methodologies we're gonna follow. Methodologies means your security policies for the organization application penetration testing part. You can say a website and an API. So over here, you can see these have some guidelines over here. So you can see the first thing is your Oauth penetration testing methodology, which is security policies of your securing web application and your APIs. So you can see the Oauth testing guide is being developed as a part of your Oauth testing project of an open web application security project, which is your short form of Oauth, Open Web Application Security Project. So over here, methodologies covering a full penetration testing. It will focus on the core testing phase of web application and security phase. So if they are talking about the testing guide, the testing guide, it's basically a standard where you have to check one by one all the possibilities over there. See, table of contents, the introduction part, the OWASP testing part, the principles of testing. Each and everything has a majority over there, and you have to check all the possibilities one by one. All we need a checklist when we are doing a penetration testing of a web application part. So you can see over here they have given OWASP top 10. They have given in development in the many years. The aim of the project to help people understand that what, why, and when, and where, how the testing application. So over here, the project has been delivered complete testing framework, not merely a simple checklist or preparation. So you can see one by one all the things is given. They have given the Windows vulnerability. So our major agenda would be we're going to penetrate one by one all the skills over here. For example, you can see the principle of testings is also given. The principle of testing will show you what are the things we're going to need over here for step by step to reach our goals. So over here, you can see they have given the source code review, also threat modeling, your testing techniques, and explained the manual inspection part. Threat modeling, which is your malwares. We are talking about the malwares over here. So our major perspective would be we're gonna take the first thing, which is your testing guide, which is your version 4. You can download this one because this is gonna help you a lot in your upcoming sessions of your web application penetration testing part. And over here you can see what is on that guide. So the guide provides a detailed discussion of the security assessment part. Security assessment. The assessment word is basically a testing part of web application as well as their deployment stack, including web server configuration. It flows a black box penetration testing approach and it comprises of what and when. You can see over here, they also gives guides on how mainly the form of listing the tools can be used in step-by-step tasks. Remember one thing, when we are doing a penetration testing in the real life website, we have to simply check our checklist or our goals to reach over there. For example, you can see over here on the screen the main purpose defined by the OWASP testing guides. It's all about your information gathering that you have already done in your previous sessions of cybersecurity course. So if you see over here in the very first thing, which is your information gathering, which is the first stage where you have to gather or cover the exposure assessment and deployment fingerprint. Fingerprint means you have to make a blueprint each and every crawling part, information gathering part of your website. Suppose if a website, each and every website has a different functionality. I was talking about the Outlook. We can talk about the APIs, the application. Each and every application has a different functionality over there. Some are basically for login, some are basically for database sharing, some are for uploading files, some are basically using for signing up. Each and remember one thing, you have to examine the behavior of the application when you're doing a penetration testing part. And this entire course of your WebPT is all based on the deployment and your assessment part. So you can see over here on configuration and development management testing, assigning the server security configuration part. The security configuration is an important part of the service side because people are not aware about their security because they are focusing on the functionality. In the large firms of organization, why there is a data breach, why they have compromised the services, because they are not aware about the testing part, they are not aware about anything which is regarding safety measures. So server security configuration, it's all like your connectivity or exposing some sensitive data from the server side, which can be leaked by easily by any of the techniques that we can use. Server is just like your PC, which has some hard drive, some processors. But the main thing, you can simply check it with the crawling, you can enumeration part, enumeration. We can talk about the web application security testing, which is the important part, and we're gonna learn about these things in our sessions. Listing a set of steps testing for specific web application vulnerabilities. We talking about web apps, means APIs. For example, you can see over here, they have given identify management testing, assign user account and management testing. Identify management testing, it's all about your credentials as a user have, assign your account management. Authentication testing, assessing authentication method. Authentication method could be your login name and password, or your OTP, or your biometric part. Authorization testing, testing the permission, authentication and authorization. Testing for vulnerabilities in bypassing the authorization by privilege escalation part. Escalate your authorities. And there are two types of privilege escalation in the web application part, which is your horizontal and vertical. We're going to discuss this one in our upcoming sessions. Remember, in this session of the privilege escalation, there are two parts, horizontal and vertical. And if you talk about the session management testing is finding the session management flow, such as your cross-site record forgery. Cross-site record forgery is an attack where an attacker simply attack on an authenticated user, which is using that application for a specific period of time. And this vulnerability is the major part. You can see input validation testing. Input validation testing, assigning vulnerabilities such as your cross-site scripting and many more other injection flows. Cross-site scripting and the injection flows. Injection flows just like your injection, which is your SQL injection, your LDAP injection, your OS injection, your XPath injections. Input validation, where a client can put an input on the server side, on the web application side. So remember these things: identify management, authentication testing, authorization testing, session management testing, your input validation testing, your testing for error handling. The error handling, which is looking for an error message leak, which is a sensitive information from the server side. Sometimes they reveal some information which is not should be showed on the screen. You can see testing for weak cryptography, assign the encryptions used. Weak cryptography means a low standard, or there is a weak algorithm that is used for covering the data. You can talk about the business logic testing. Business logic testing will cover the number of common flows in the business logic implementation. Business logic means in your web application part, which can be harm in your own environment. Client-side testing, you can see. Can you simply mute your mic, guys? Thank you so much. So over here, you can see the client-side testing is look for the vulnerabilities such as your JavaScript execution, HTML, and CSS injection. client-side testing, which can be reflected on the client side, not on the server side. And the client-side testing, there is also should JavaScript execution means your accesses process scripting, and your HTML or CSS injection part also. So the most important part, these categories has defined your vulnerabilities, which is your identifier management testing, authentication testing, authorization testing, session management testing, input validation testing, testing for error handlings, testing for weak privacy, business logic testing, and client-side testing. These are the important types of your specific web application vulnerabilities, which we're gonna look for in our further upcoming classes. And the last and the least, what happened? We have to make the report writing also, because it's a major thing. We have to submit a report, so that report will be checked by the organization or the security testers team. The final phase of the testing project, as discussed in the guide, the reporting part. You can see over here, they have given the Oauth community is a very active part, making methodologies one of the best mentioned, comprehensive and the up-to-date part. And most of the web application part, we use Oauth top 10 for the security purpose. With many of the pen testing projects nowadays, including some of our web apps, the Oauth testing guide is definitely one of you should be familiar with, the able to take advantages when it's required. So we're gonna make some standards. It's all about the policies, the checklist, the way we're gonna penetrate. We have to check one by one all the things. So over here, we're gonna have a look. We're gonna use some of the web application approach, the methodologies. So over here you can see there would be around 3 to 4. Yes. So you can see the first thing, types of web application approach that we can use it for the security purpose I'm talking about. So very first thing you can see is your Bugcloud vulnerability rate taxonomy. So this website will show you all the vulnerabilities, which is your resource outlining and your baseline priority rating, including certain ages and cases. For common vulnerabilities, have a suggestion toolbox. So let's have a look over here. See, Bugcloud VRT is a rating platform where each and every vulnerabilities has a rate. The current VRT release on the location of this VRT. As both the searchable page are downloadable PDF. The VRT is also available in our API also. For API, you can go from here. So the major perspective of the Bugcloud VRT is to give a baseline technical severity rating, the critical rating we can say that. Each and every vulnerability has a rating over there, which is from P1 to P5, taking into account potential difference among the edge cases. So over here, if you see, you can download the PDF if you want. You can click over here, the PDF will be downloaded. And on that PDF, you can see some of the vulnerabilities over here, which has the critical vulnerabilities. P1 are the critical vulnerabilities. You can see server security misconfiguration, which is using default credential part. Server side injection, which is your file inclusion part, which is can be happen in local. Server side injection, remote code execution part, which is your RCE, server side injection, SQL injection, server side injection, which is XML entity injection part, broken authentication and session management, which is your authentication bypass. You can see one by one all the things is given. Sensitive data exposure, disclosure of the secret for public assets. Sensitive data exposure, which is reveal the data from the server side and the real form, which is not should be allowed in the real. Insecure OS framework, which is your outdated versions. Hard-coded passwords for privileged users, broken cryptography. See, they have given all the vulnerabilities over here one by one. And these are the P1. You can simply make a PDF, just like over here. You can make your own PDFs, as they have mentioned the importance and the uses, the methodologies, the user's guide, each and everything is over there. And we were talking about this one, the Bugcloud VRT, and the variant affected the function. So P2, P3, you see there is P3 also, P4, P5. We don't count P5 because it's all about server security misconfiguration part. And the most important part is your values. It will show you all the possibilities, vulnerabilities. And you can simply go to if you want to download the PDF, you can get their API also for the Bugcloud website. I'm going to show you where the bug bounty platforms are. We can use it for penetration testing over part. So P1s are the critical vulnerabilities. P2, you can see P2 are your high vulnerabilities, critical, high, medium, low. You can say that those things. So in the you can see over here in the critical in the high vulnerabilities, high rating vulnerabilities, there could be your misconfigured DNS, auth misconfiguration, account takeover, which is your P2, weak password reset implementation, cross-site scripting, which is your stored, server-side request forgery, which is the SSRF, application void, critical impact, which it's easy to discuss, which is your DOS attack. All the things has been given over here one by one. Insecure OS form, which is your hard-coded password. P3, misconfigured DNS, mail server misconfiguration, which is your SPF, no spoofing protection or emails domain. Yes, this is your vulnerability of your SPF vulnerability. So there are lots of vulnerabilities is given over here. Just like your XSS privilege user to privilege escalation evolution part, stored type should be there, reflected shadow to the not cells. Broken access control your back, which is your server-side request forgery. So there are lots of things over here. P4 is your load limiting, and over here you will get some bounties around $100 to $50. You can get the bounties if you find any of the P4 vulnerabilities over here. P4 vulnerabilities are there. There are lots of P4 vulnerabilities you can see. And the P5 is just like your informational part. So over here, our main agenda to cover all the possibilities one by one. For example, you can see over here, I'm going to show you some of the websites that we can going to use over here. The popular websites. For example, you can see CWE is also a website which is named as Common Weakness and Information Part. CWE. It's a list of software and hardware weaknesses type. And this basically has a list of your vulnerabilities that could be leveraged or the part of your core mechanism of a verification part. So you can see over here, we're gonna have a visit. Common weakness and information part. So common weakness and information part, over here you can download the PDF again, or you can see they have given the CWE top 25 and Oauth top 10, which is 2017. So we're gonna open both of these things, and you can check for other also 7 United Kingdom. They are given some other mapping part also, some induced during the decision part. One by one, all the possibilities are there. So have a look over here. So in our session, there are 2 security policies. One is your SANS and one is your Oauth top 10. This was for Oauth top 10. And this is for SANS. Each and every there are 2 security policies in the web application part one is your SANS and one is your Oauth top 10. We can follow the both of the things, but most of the company they follow the Oauth top 10 or the SANS. According to the SANS, there will be around 25 critical vulnerabilities, and they have given some numbers. So you can see first thing, which is your improper neutralization of the input during the web generation, which is your process scripting. Out of the bond, right? 787 CWE common input validation 20, out of the bond rate, buffer overflow, SQL command injection, unauthorized access. So these are top 10, top 25 critical vulnerabilities that we're gonna look for the one by one. We're gonna try all the possibilities in our upcoming sessions. So over here you can see the most of the possibilities things that we're going to learn over here is to check the vulnerabilities one by one to figure out the loopholes on the web application part. It's all about the misconfiguration part and the server input validation. So our main objective would be we're going to read about each and every vulnerabilities, and we're going to look for the real life websites, and we're going to write them a report also how we can secure our organization with these kinds of vulnerabilities. So code injection, dangerous file types, we're going to try to look all these things, and we're going to make our own notes. And over here, the Oauth top 10, which is your top 10 critical vulnerabilities over here. So you can see they have categorized with the A1 to A10. First one is your injection part. Second one is broken authentication, sensitive exposure, XML external entities, broken access control, security misconfiguration, cross-site scripting, insecure deserialization, using component with known vulnerabilities, and insufficient login and monitoring. These are the vulnerabilities that can be on the sessions, and you can compare those vulnerabilities. These vulnerabilities are same, just like your, but this is a different standard, and this one is a complete different standard. So our major agenda would be to check all the possibilities. So you can see they have given the categories that you can use. Remember one thing, the security policies are important. That's why the CVE, the common weakness and information part, is a list of software and hardware weaknesses type, which has a leverage, or they have given a proper vulnerability name that we can use it for a specific behavior of the exploit. See, specific effect and behavior exploit mechanism implementation details with a list of OC. It's a standards, you can say, just like your Bugcloud Elasticsearch, BRT. So if we talk about, yeah, this was CVE. Next we have SANS 25. SANS 25 is just like here. You can see over here, SANS 25, the SANS Institute is a cooperative search and education organization. SANS 25 is the most dangerous software error in the list of the most widespread and critical errors that can be lead to serious vulnerabilities in software. Please note all the vulnerabilities types are applied to programming languages. See over here. Top 10 critical vulnerabilities and their name that we have discussed right now. CVE number, which is important, 109. So you should know which vulnerability is it over there. It's an improper restriction of operation without the bound of the memory buffer overflow. Improper neutralization, you can see they have given all the CV number, top 25 critical vulnerabilities over there. And each and every vulnerability has a different way and how to figure out. Same as your last one, which is your SEPAC, which is a common attack pattern and mission classification. Understanding how the adversary properties are associated to effective cybersecurity. effectiveness, how it can, and help to provide a comprehensive directory of known patterns to attack employed by adversaries to exploit known weaknesses in the cyber-enabled weapon. It can be used for analyst, developer, tester, and educator to advance community understanding and enhance the defense. It's proper mechanism how we can use this one. Common attack pattern and information classification. And this is the same thing just like your CV Mitra. You can use any of the one you want. You can see these are also giving them vulnerability mechanism to of attacks, engage in deceptive interactions, abuse existing functionality, manipulation of data structure, and they have given some vulnerabilities over here. Buffer manipulations, mechanism of attack. So this is an old website, that's why it's taking some time over here. But the most important thing is there are two platforms for bug bounty. One is your hacker one, and one is your Bugcloud. Bugcloud is a leading platform where penetration tester and application tester they perform their skills to penetrate on the server side to identify the loopholes one by one, find vulnerabilities, other items, tools, and etc. You can make an account over here. If you are a researcher, you can simply do lots of things. You can see their blogs, their release versions, their resources if you want to learn. They have given the case studies, webinars, events, programs, and programs what do you have? I think CrowdStream, bug bounty list. Yes, this was the important thing. Solutions, bug bounty, penetration testing. You can see classic pen testing, next generation pen testing, web application penetration testing, bug bounty. They have given one by one. So let's check over here. Case studies is all about. You can see there are lots of case studies to read. What happened to the ExpressVPN, Transwise? These are the websites that was compromised. There was time. You can open any of this one. And you can read about the case studies, what will happen over there. Download the case study if you want to read it on your offline mode. If you read more case studies, you will understand what is the flow of the vulnerability. So you can download these things. ExpressVPN. You can read about whether we are online shopping or streaming video contents. We all want to stay safe on the internet and keep our data scheduled from playing eyes. So we can see all the possibilities is given over here one by one to secure the reputation. Our major concern would be how we can secure our organization, because if we know some of the vulnerabilities that will happen and what is the type. For example, public bug bounty list, the most comprehensive, we can see up-to-date CrowdSec list of bug bounties and security disclosures programs for across the web security. You can see these are some program names. Bug bounty, swags, Hall of Fame they have given, submission of URL, and safe folder. So you can use filters over here. Bug bounty. You can write the type. For example, let's write SQL. Okay, these are some people names over here. Program names only. If you get online, if you get log into this application, get started. All you have to do is to sign up for the companies, for the security researchers. They have given one by one all the things. So our major perspective, perspective would be to check all the things one by one over there. So for companies, for security researchers, you can see one by one. So you can sign, if you are a security researcher, you can simply click over here. If you already have account, go to there. If you want to create, you can simply put it over here. So over here, this was all about Bugcloud. Bugcloud is also one of the platform for using for bug bounty penetration testing part, and there are lots of further things can be happen. So same, there is one more platform which is your HackerOne platform. HackerOne is the major platform where you can simply penetrate your skills and learn something new about the vulnerabilities. And over here, the only you can see, yeah, why hackers? You can see activity. Uh, Hacker 101. Hmm. Activities are the platform where some bug bounters already have got some bounties on the server side. You can see HTTP request smuggling, which is new, right? Newer nowadays, and they have $5,000 for this one. Disclosed on 20 hours ago. So you can see open redirection leader one account takeoff, which is your $750. They have, it was 6 days before, and you can see in the 23 hours back, their PayPal vulnerability also was triggered, which is your $21,000. So these are the platform where you can simply check what are the vulnerabilities, and these are the basically the bugs. And you can see all there are the types. For example, all type, bug bounty, publish and disclose, the popular one or the new one. You can simply check the new one. These are the new one which is submitted. So these are some vulnerabilities. You can see someone in 5 hours got $200 for this one. And over here, you can check one by one all the possibilities. So the most important thing over here is to understand what are the application part, what is the flow. And in our upcoming session, we're gonna start from the bottom stuff, which is your stack pointer. So these are some vulnerabilities which is right now they have deployed. You can see this is a username which is your ABAX4, and this was on your government tech.vpn. You can open this one, and I get this is a report. Yes, this is a report. The report which is detailed over here. As a part of Singapore Government Technology Agency, response, time of the first response, 1 business day, time of the delivery, 1 business day. They have given all the possibilities, the domain that we have to test. Look, they will give you a domain. There would be scope and in scope and out scope. In scope means you have to penetrate those things. If you try to use out scope, there will be no bounty. And lots of people they simply go for the out scope. So our major perspective would be we're gonna check one by one all the things over here. The conduct, the rules, the VAPT part, everything. And the Hacker 101. Here you can simply start your career or the bug bounty part. But I will say if you are new over here, simply start hacking. Go to start hacking and just join the community. First, you need to join the community, then you can simply look for the resources. They have free resources for the students. Resource center, you can see over here, resource center. What you need data sheets, reports, some videos. You can look for the videos if you want. Videos about the conferences they have done and the story. They have given all the details free over here. Documentations, blogs, customers, documentation. Let's move to the documentation part. Hackers and programs, you can see. All you have to do is to simply log in and simply look for the vulnerabilities and some other techniques. And over here, the most important thing in our Kali Linux, we're gonna use most of the time our burp suite. And we will have a session on burp suite also, how to use burp suite and how to configure burp suite, and we're gonna use the advanced features of burp suite also. So don't worry, I will make some notes for you guys each and every day, and we're gonna penetrate those things one by one. So this is a normal startup website. This is a normal interface of your burp suite. So in our upcoming sessions, we're gonna learn about the burp suite penetration testing. What is the let me explain you. Burp suite is a VAPT part, VAPT tool. So remember, you can simply scan the server to identify the bugs, and you can do penetration testing also. So our major concern would be we're gonna check all the possibilities one by one over here in our upcoming sessions of our bug bounty or your web application penetration testing, whatever you can say that those things. And remember one thing, that the methodologies are important. As Kevin Mitnick says, our hacker are threats. Kevin Mitnick, one of the biggest hacker in the world, you can say. The degree of the threats penetrated by the conduct, whether legal or illegal, depends on the action and intent of the individual or harm the cause. It's all about the human nature, what you want to perform with that application. It's all about that. So remember one thing, it's all about the testing one by one and look for the possibilities. We're gonna say.